Hey everyone, Cake Man here. In case you didn't see my post, I've been studying abroad in Japan for a few months now. But now that I'm back home, I'm back to recording Haruhi. It'll still be a while until the next chapter, but in the meantime, I thought I'd share some things I've learned from fan voice acting in case any of you are interested in trying it. In later chapters, we're definitely going to have to fill some new roles, so we'll open auditions at that point. That's still a ways off, but if you're interested in being a part of S0S Audio, make sure you pay extra attention to this video, because it'll give you a hint at what I'm looking for in my cast. This video is all about getting started in fan voice acting and auditioning for different projects. There are tons of websites you can get started on, but everyone in S0S Audio started on the Voice Acting Alliance. That's how we met. One day I got the idea for the Haruhi audiobook and decided to open a thread. I kinda lucked out at the time. I got such a great cast, but there are many things I wish I knew when I started. Anyway, back on topic. The Voice Acting Alliance is a great place to find projects. Just go to the auditions and casting section. YouTube's also a place you can go to, but it's a lot less organized and you gotta pay attention to the video posting dates. Those projects often die before the auditions are over. Before you start recording, I want you to look at whatever microphone you're planning to use. Is it a good one? Are you sure? When casting, most directors mention the mic quality in their threads. They make very specific rules against popping, puffing, background noises, and hisses. Bad mic quality can be really distracting for the performance. It's like constantly being reminded that this isn't the character talking, it's a nerd in his bedroom using an Xbox Live headset.
Hang on, it takes 20 odd years for the wish to reach there. Wouldn't it take just as long for it to come back? Okay, I can't do it! Yeah! Table flip noise, maybe later. Psst, insert it later.
If you can't afford a decent mic, there are plenty of cheaper alternatives out there. Try looking at pawn shops. They have lots of decent mics for very cheap, but make sure it's USB. At some point in the future, I'd like to do a special video all about microphones and which ones my cast members use. For now, I'll just tell you what I use. I use an M Audio Producer. It's a little over $100, but it's a great microphone, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it over the years. But Cake Man, I have a microphone, but I don't have software for it. Luckily, that's not as hard as the microphone. There's plenty of cheap and even free software out there. The trick is to find the software that works best for you. Regardless of what software you use, it'll come out sounding the same. I use Pro Tools MP. It's a professional grade editing software that actually came with my microphone. I highly recommend it, but for most auditioners it's not necessary. I would go with Audacity. It's free and it's open source, so it comes with lots of plugins. You can do pretty much anything you can think of with it. For Mac users, I recommend GarageBand. It comes with the computer, and it's amazing that something that good is free. Okay, now let's talk about auditioning. There are many fandubs being casted at any given time. The main thing is to audition for everything you can. There's a lot of competition on the internet, and as a newcomer, your priority should be to practice. Don't just try out for main roles. You're probably not going to get those just yet. And besides, you can have just as much fun being a side character. Trust me, I've been enough of them. The more roles you try out for, the higher the chance that you'll actually get a part. If you get casted and the director likes working with you, he may bring you in for future roles. You never know. So I advise taking every role you get seriously. Before you audition for a project, do your research. Watch the show and read the fandub thread very closely. A good director will tell you exactly what kind of voice they want. If they give you links to the Japanese dub, use the Japanese voice actor as a template. If it's the English dub, listen to that. If they make it clear that they don't want an impression of the voice actors, watch the show and think very carefully about what kind of character you're trying to play. Think about what situation they're in for each line, and go with that. Directors want someone who listens to their direction and has a good attitude, so go with whatever they say, even if you disagree. If they give you a critique and an opportunity to redo, try again. Think of the first audition as a rough draft, and the director has just given you the keys to nailing the second audition, so why pass that up? Adapt to whatever criticism they give you. Never take a director's criticism as an insult. Put yourself in their shoes. They want their project to sound as good as they can. They have their eyes on the whole scene in general. They've heard the other cast members and what they sound like, and they want you to fit together with them. So trust their judgment. Okay, so now we're going to start on the recording. When recording your audition, turn off everything in the room that makes any noise at all, like a fan or a TV or anything. They'll make noise when you move around to record. Personally, I have to take off my digital watch because it does this on the desk. If possible, try to be alone in the room with the door closed. Even considerate people can accidentally make noise when they move. And a lot of us get self-conscious when we're acting in front of other people. That's why we're doing voice acting and not stage acting. Pick a time during the day when everyone around you doesn't mind if you make a little noise. When recording, make sure you give yourself a little distance from the microphone. I usually do about 4 to 6 inches. But my character is a narrator, so he actually is pretty close to the microphone. Think about how you watch a movie. Most characters have a little distance from the camera, and that controls how they sound. If you have a character that's about 6 feet from the camera, and they sound like this, it completely shatters that illusion of space. It creates a disconnect between the character and the voice. If you've been to a concert and seen a performer pretty much eat a microphone, it's because they have a different mic than what's used for studio recording. Their mic is less sensitive, so it doesn't pick up the crowd around them. They also have to be loud so it doesn't get any interference. So don't use them as an example. They have a different situation than you. When recording, you can't afford to be courteous of the people around you. Directors can tell when you try to keep your voice down. It makes you a little self-conscious and adds a little awkwardness to the recording. If you have to, before you record, tell the people in the house that you're going to be making a lot of noise. When mixing, directors are able to increase your audio volume. The problem is, it increases the volume of everything in the recording, including background noise. So even if you have a decent mic, there's still some noise being recorded, and it becomes much more noticeable when everything's increased. Therefore, you have to provide the required volume by yourself. Don't rely on technology. Also, in the recording, don't add a preamble. I just need the lines, don't tell me your life story.
Hi, my name is Cake Man, and I was thinking of trying out for your fandub because it looks fun and stuff. I guess I'll read the lines now, maybe. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna go throw the cat out. His name is Hobbs. He's really funny, but he gets in the way, he knocks things over. Okay, here we go.
Directors have to listen to lots of recordings, so don't waste their time. Do it in text in the email. That way they can choose to read it or not. Don't mention that you have a cold or anything, just go for it. They're not going to be more forgiving of you if you give them an excuse. What you should include in the recording is whatever they ask you to include. Some directors will ask you to do multiple takes. If they don't, you should still do about 4 takes per line. It shows that you're trying hard and they love that. Just include any way you think the line could be read. Don't do ridiculous ways you don't think they can use. It's also a chance to use different voices if you think they may like something else. Basically, it gives them a number of choices in one auditioner. You should edit your audio file to get rid of any mistakes or partial lines. Directors don't want to wade through all the bad takes to get to the good ones. It's alright, most of us do make mistakes. I actually went through maybe 5 takes just now for this single line. It's more professional to edit yourself. Also, it gives the director less to do. It takes away from the authority to mess up. It takes away from the authority of the character if they mess up a whole lot. See, just like that. When going through the audition lines, I usually add a line I like from the character. It separates me from the auditioners and gives me an extra chance to shine. Just make sure your extra line isn't too long. They didn't ask for it, so don't make them sit through it if they don't want to. Add it at the end and make sure you point out that it's something you decided to put. If you want an example of the lines being performed and the director hasn't provided one, just go hunt it down, it's not that hard. Usually they'll take lines from when the character first appears, or whatever episode they're covering. It's actually a really good idea to do that, because that way you get the context of the scene, which automatically makes your performance much better. After you're done recording, make sure you put on some nice over-the-ear headphones and listen to what you just recorded. Most people when they start out are really embarrassed and nervous about listening to their own recordings, but you have to do it. You've got to check it for background noise. You also have to check your own performance. You're going to be the hardest judge of your own work, so if you're not happy with it, you shouldn't send it out and make other people listen to it. Personally, I listen to every take of my recording, and I talk for about 40 minutes each video. Once casting has been announced, and if you don't get the part, it's okay to be disappointed, but you cannot show any of that on the thread. You need to bow out gracefully and practice good sportsmanship. Either stop posting to the thread altogether, or if you have it in you, congratulate everyone who's been casted. After all, the director may still consider you if someone drops out of the project, which happens alarmingly often. And if you got casted, don't be a snob and think that your hard work is over. The director saw something in your performance they can use, but it doesn't mean you're perfect yet. Let me show you a comparison between early Swirly and recent Swirly, and you'll see what I mean. This is from the first video I had Swirly do for S0S Audio. She's gonna be pretty embarrassed for me to show this, but I don't care.
Yahoo! Geez, Keon, quit sweating the small stuff. I've got a big announcement to make. I'm getting the band back together. Right as always, Koizumi, 10 points, and Keon, I expect more from our narrator.
Okay, and the next bit is from the new chapter we're working on.
Yahoo! Do you know what today is? No! How the heck should I know when their birthdays are? Who cares about that? You really don't know what today is? Tell me, what's the date? Of course I am! It's the Tanabata Festival! Any Japanese person knows that.
Even now, she still works hard to get better and better with each chapter. I require more redos out of her than anyone else, and she works hard to get them done. Also, keep in mind, if you get casted for a role, that's a commitment that you need to keep. This is someone else's project, and you promised you were going to help. You should be reliable and meet every deadline you can. If you can't meet a deadline, tell them ahead of time and work out one you can meet. If you need to drop out of a project, be polite and give them a reason. No one wants to rely on someone who's flaky. It's kind of the golden rule. If you were going to meet your friend at the movies and they couldn't come, you'd want them to tell you before you were waiting at the theater for 5 hours, right? Just to be courteous, reliable, and flexible. And I know it's kinda corny, but have fun. Otherwise, what's the point? Also, keep trying. No one's good when they start out. Like everything else, it takes practice. In the near future, I'll hopefully do one of these aimed at directors who are starting an audition thread. So, hopefully you'll look forward to it. Also, I don't usually do this, but leave me a comment and tell me what you think of this video. This isn't my usual thing, and I was wondering if people wanted to see more of these. If you have any suggestions of videos I should do more of, let me know. Well, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.